My name is Thomas Ayers, and welcome to this Spirit Gathering teleconference. Today is March 19th, 2013, and our topic tonight is fine qualities. I'm very happy that you've joined us.
Thank you. This is Judith from Swarthmore.
Hi, Judith. Welcome.
Thanks.
We're just beginning our introduction.
Sorry to be late.
That's not a problem. Welcome.
Thanks.
So, yes, we are recording this call tonight, so people who aren't here, couldn't be here tonight, can listen to it later.
Mm-hmm.
So please press either your phone mute button or the *6 mute on your line to help keep the line quiet. Tonight we're meeting as a conversation council. The way that works is that you're welcome to speak at any time, and just taking care to let the current speaker finish before you begin what you have to offer. And like I say again, that's the conversation council mode. One of the features of the Pure Spirit Style Circle is the pause, which we can use as a resource to open space to reflect upon what is unfolding within us at the moment. Bishop Amy Skeezus will serve as the guardian tonight, and she will ring a chime for the pause if needed, or when someone on the call asks for it. When that chime is sounded, please stop talking, and the person who called for the pause will explain the reason they're asking for the pause, and the guardian will ring the chime again, and then we can resume our discussion. The timekeeper for tonight is Sally Eckroad. She will sound another bell of a different tone every 10 minutes or so to help remind us of how we're doing with the time. So let's take a moment now to get settled, to center ourselves, to let go of the events of the day, and begin to enter the sacred space within ourselves. Let's imagine that we're joining together, sacred heart to sacred heart, with every other person on this call right now. Let's imagine that we're joining together in a circle with a light or a flame or a fire in the center. And then send a ray of light from your heart to the flame in the center and to everyone on the call tonight, or those who are listening later. Now we're connected, sacred heart to sacred heart. And I'd like to offer 4 intentions for this evening. We listen to one another with compassion and curiosity. We ask for what we need and offer what we can. That we deepen our connection with one another and with the divine. And may this sharing serve us, our communities, and planet Earth. So, as I mentioned before, our generic topic for tonight has to do with fine qualities. And I did not exactly define what I meant by define qualities in the invitation, which was sent out regarding this call. But the fine qualities that I'm referring to actually are discussed in a poem that comes from a book by Michael Roach. His book's entitled The Diamond Cutter, and this particular poem's on page 83. Originally, Michael Roach borrowed the poem from a seer or wise person named Naga Arjuna, and I'm not sure what his heritage is, but I'm pretty sure it's Buddhist. And somehow I think it's appropriate to read that poem as a way of kind of providing the baseline from where we can begin our discussion of fine qualities. But beyond that, the idea is for us to discuss our own conceptions of fine qualities. And in general, just kind of the way I understand it and the way the invitation is written, let's suppose that a church consists of those people who follow a particular path or set of teachings. And let's suppose further that all of these possess certain characters or fine qualities. And during this month's Spirit Gathering, we have an opportunity to share our concepts or visions of those fine qualities we see or would like to see in the church, in its congregation, its clergy, its teachings, and the seminary. And to help focus our discussion a bit, I'd like to invite you to reflect upon and to discuss tonight four questions. And like number one is, seems to me obviously, what fine qualities do I possess? And then what fine qualities do I think that the Tzaddi teachings possess? And what fine qualities would I like to see Tzaddi seminary possess? And then the fourth one is, what fine qualities am I willing to offer in service to the divine, to Tzaddi, to its congregation, its clergy, and its seminary? Now, the way the fine qualities are discussed in the poem are, they are what they are. But I invite you to speak your own felt truth of what fine qualities you are, that you have, that you possess, and that you would like to offer. So without further ado, I will read Nagarjuna's poem from The Diamond Cutter. I'll tell you briefly of the fine qualities of those on the path of compassion, giving and ethics, patience and effort, concentration and wisdom, compassion and such. Giving is giving away what you have, and ethics is doing good to others. Patience is giving up feelings of anger, and effort is joy that increases all good. Concentration is one-pointed, free of bad thoughts, and wisdom decides what truth really is. Compassion's a kind of high intelligence mixed with a deep love for all living kind. Giving brings wealth. A good world comes from ethics. Patience brings beauty. Eminence comes from effort. Concentration brings peace, and from wisdom comes freedom. Compassion achieves everything we all wish for. A person who takes all seven of these and perfects them together will reach that place of inconceivable knowledge, no less than the world's protector. So, my vision of our discussion tonight is that it's, like I say, of the conversation council, where any of us can speak at any time. There's no discipline of passing talking sticks or things like that. But the thing to remember is to please let others finish before you begin to offer what you have to say. So I'd like to open up the forum now for discussion. Let's see what kind of fine qualities we want to discuss tonight. What fine qualities do you have? What fine qualities would you like to see in the teachings, or do you find in the teachings and in the seminary, and what would you like to offer in service to the divine?
This is Amy. The word that kept coming to me as you were speaking was clarity. I know that I spend a lot of time trying to clarify things, mundane things as well as spiritual things. And I think that that's something I really value is clarity. And in any human endeavor, you're often not having a lot of that clarity, especially where there has to be a meeting of the mind, a shared agreement between and among people. In my experience, people often project what they think something is or what they want something or someone to be, and they're not really listening. And I'm finding that for clarity for myself, the starting point, and of course I do that kind of projection as well. I think I know what's going to happen, or I think I know what ought to happen. And I find that what I'm really craving more and more is silence and listening for the clarity. And I think that that's what I would like to say I would like to see more of in myself and what I'm trying to develop in myself. And I would love to see that in the seminary, in the students in the seminary, to have that quality, and in the way that we conduct ourselves as faculty in the seminary. And I feel like there is that in the Tzaddi principles, the 21 principles, which is kind of the codification of a lot of teaching work that founding Bishops Amy Keyes and Dorothy Blackmer did. So for me, kind of the Tzaddi teachings, it all boils down into those 21 principles. And I think they are exceptionally clear. I've been looking at them and working with them for a long time, a number of years, and I'm really guided to not edit them and not monkey with them, that they are good as gold just the way they are. I think they're very clear. And I think that those 21 principles are what really anchors me in this church and in the practice of trying to help the church stay alive and grow and, move into its next incarnation. So I would say that clarity is that fine quality, and that for me, it arises out of listening and open listening. I'm done.
Amy, I have a question for you. Do you have any sense of how we can build in more clarity?
Well,
how can that be operationalized for, say, the students who enter the seminary? How can we teach them or help them to become more clear, for instance?
Well, I think that's a great question to call for a pause for us all to reflect together on. Why don't we do a pause?
Sure.
So I called for a pause for your question so that we would have space to listen inside. And I think the short answer to your question for me is I don't know. I have been praying about it and meditating on it and monkeying with a seminary model about it for a long time. I feel there's an inherent tension that I haven't sorted out yet between getting guidance, which I can do very easily, higher guidance, and it's very clear. I'm a good telephone, and I can tune right into that. That's like one side of my life or one side of my being. And then there's engaging other people in an empowering way where they are also able to get that clarity for themselves. I think that I'm quite capable of going up on the mountain and bringing down the tablets for everybody else. But I don't really feel like that's the right way. I feel like I am to do some of that. I am to discern the shape and the energy field and articulate the essence and try to vision the future and lay down the seminary materials, the writings. Yes, all that, okay, I'm doing. But I don't think that is going to give people this quality of clarity. I think it's helpful. It orients and it provides a context. But as far as actually helping them, I think that in the end, supporting them by modeling it is the best way. And having phone time for them one-on-one with people where there really is a lot of space, like the pause that is in a circle format, where there is a skilled faculty person who's adept at that kind of deep listening and bringing forth an invitation for the student to find their own answers and to find their own way. In a way, it's like an educational philosophy. I think the students should be challenged by the assignments, like, the practicum. If they're going to go out and do 20 healing sessions and write it up, it's putting them right in the face of the thing that they're going to get credentialed about. And I think that then to bring their questions and their experiences into a kind of a womb structure where they can talk to someone about it and reflect and digest, to me, that space for reflection and digestion, that's what helps bring clarity, along with that ability to tap into that higher flow and that intuitive guidance. So it's tension between like illumination and integration. That's me. I'm done.
Thank you.
Well,
hello and welcome to someone who may have joined. Did someone just join our call?
Yes, I did. It's Bonnie Belos. I was just joined. Sorry for the interruption there.
That's okay, Bonnie. Welcome.
Thank you.
In the middle of discussing the fine qualities.
Okay, then I'll just be quiet for a bit and catch up.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Diane. I think spaciousness is really key to really reflect and to be quiet and to go inside and to the mountaintop both, to uncover or to become clear or gain understanding. And I just think that models that provide for space invites growth and invites clarity and compassion and patience and so many of the qualities that were listed in the poem. And it's why I like the radiant reflective practice, because it provides an opportunity for connection to happen along with all those the other qualities that I mentioned. And it's a connection to self and connection to the divine both, I think, or can be. I just think that's really important. Thank you.
Hello, this is Sally, and thinking on a number of things that have been said already. I want to kind of integrate the fine qualities that come up for me, include the clarity and all. I think what really kind of comes at the top of the pyramid for me are the qualities of love and truth and principle. And I kind of think of that as like a tripod to stand upon. And when I think about clarity and achieving that, for me, when I'm coming from a place of love or truth, there's clarity there. Whereas when I'm in a different kind of place or vibration, very often my clarity is skewed or obscured. And so this is often what I look at is how can I use the kind of Tzaddi teachings, the seminary process to develop those qualities or virtues in myself, because to me that's really what my kind of goal is for spiritual evolution. And I appreciate what Amy said about the 21 principles, because for me that's really, I was very impressed when I read through the handbook that came to me in studying for the healer counselor degree, because it was so obvious how much work had been put into it and the effort to really have this kind of truth come through, and the love that was underpinning everything. And regarding the seminary process, I have to, say for me at this point, I feel kind of detached from that. I feel like I've received a certain level of ordination, and then, things have kind of tapered for me. And there's not a dynamic quality in a process for me within the Tzaddi organization. And I'm not exactly sure how that could be changed, but it would be wonderful if there was more of a kind of engagement. And then as far as qualities to offer in service to the divine, it goes back to these. I think there's so many other qualities of just, generosity and patience and, things that were brought up in the poem. And what I would really love is if possibly that poem could be sent around to everyone, because I know for myself, I wasn't able to hold on to it and remember everything that was said, and yet as I was listening to it, I loved hearing it. So I would love to have time to contemplate it further. And I was here because I wanted to ring, and it is now just past 9 o'clock, so we have just under half an hour left as timekeeper. And I guess the other quality probably I bring in is modesty, because I always find it very difficult to hit upon qualities that come across in this sense, and yet I know it's very definitely there. I think one of the things that should be brought up, which I see in myself and reflected in so many others, is commitment. Just this commitment to one another and to the divine. And I really appreciate that. And I think the other thing, we were actually talking that we had a meditation group, and here at my home this evening with the work of Amy Skeezis and Athabascar, and we're discussing the aspects of appreciation and gratitude. And I feel that that's something that I have, grown in so much because of the work we have done together, and particularly the radiant reflective work. And I see how much that has contributed to my life. And so I want to take a moment to appreciate that. And perhaps we could have a pause in order to reflect on that. Thank you. I'm complete.
As for your request, Sally, I'm pretty sure we can send out that poem. We can make that happen. You're welcome. So we have Judith and Bonnie and myself. We have 20 minutes. Would you like to offer anything, Judith or Bonnie? Hello.
Hi, this is Judith.
Howdy.
I've been very actively involved in the kindness movement, and I think that somehow that's the quality that's missing in our lives and in our world. And it seems as though the forces of unkindness are so strong nowadays. So I really think it's important for us to really keep a focus on kindness, and it kind of helps get the gray, yucky stuff out of the way, if you can focus on that. It's just, peering through all the stuff that we are bombarded with. And as far as the church goes, I haven't been involved enough to really be able to say anything either way. I've known Amy for so many decades and lifetimes. And so I'm sort of following from the edges of things, how this is all evolving. I know I love the idea. I wish that more people would take time. It's just time. So I'm just feeling very much at peace and happy to be with the group. And today has been a major healing day for me, and I'm feeling quite liberated. So it's sort of very nice to be able to share that energy with all of you. Thank you.
Judith, if I may, can I ask about how How do you live kindness in your daily life? How does that express itself and manifest itself?
Well, it's a matter of focus, and it's a matter of looking people in the eye, smiling at them, consciously helping somebody that needs help, being kind to yourself, knowing the things that are good for you and not doing things that aren't good for you, bumper stickers, and also we've given out 70,000 kindness cards, primarily in prisons in the United States and around the world, and that's kind of my life goal, is to bring all the kindness projects together to become actually a force in society, a good force. I don't know. I guess it's a matter of just being spiritually dressed and reminding yourself of who you are and what your earth walk is about, and also being ready to laugh. I don't know quite what I mean by that, but to see the absurdity in everything is very enlightening. Does that answer your question?
It was an open-ended question. I don't have a definition.
Okay. Well, what would your idea be of how to live a kind life?
Not fair.
It's an open discussion.
I want to pause.
Okay.
Please ring the pause button.
Okay.
So when you're ready, Thomas, say why you called for the pause.
I called for the pause because I was surprised that it was turned back on me, and I need the space to kind of translate the feeling into the words. And I'm ready.
Okay.
Thanks, Sally. I will admit up front that is lacking in my life. The overt, intentional focus on kindness. I can understand how it gets expressed in some of the things I do, like if I'm working with clients or with students, then it kind of expresses itself kind of unconsciously. But to actually kind of turn the attention to manifesting that as a kind of the central beacon or focus of my life, it just hasn't been there. And so, kind of generically, the reason I asked kind of on the surface was how can we develop the practice of kindness as you might say, as a theme or a mode or note within our curriculum in the seminary and the seminary's teachings and within the church. But I guess there's also the secondary and underlying thing of, well, how can I learn how to do that in myself or bring that more into fullness and awareness. So that's what comes for me vis-a-vis the question of kindness, and you ask your question for me.
I also thought of a way that I began all this, which was as I move about in the world, my first response to people is to send light to them, just kind of as a greeting. And that keeps me more aware.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that's something you can put into a curriculum. It starts inside, and it starts with gratitude, I think.
something I think Diane mentioned.
Mhm.
It's Amy. I'm just thinking about a time recently when I was in a very deep conversation with someone, and it was a lot of shadow stuff moving, and they were really vulnerable. And I was kind to that person. And as I reflect on what enabled me to be kind, how I could have been very different at that moment. I could have been punishing or judgmental or just cold or indifferent or neutral. But I was kind. And I'm thinking about it. It was a really strong moment. And what I did was I expressed gratitude and appreciation for that person. And they were expecting punishment, and instead they got this gentle, loving acknowledgement of their being. And it was like a really major shift point. There was like a sense I had that the energy dropped and everything opened up. I mean, dropped not like dropping a glass where it breaks, but down into like the earth and into our hearts, and everything opened up. And the person's face changed right in front of me. And their heart opened after the energy dropped and opened. Their heart opened. And I thought, yeah, that was good. That was good that you were kind. Progress was made here. And this is something that has been a brewing, festering problem for months, or probably I would say even years. And it just shifted in that moment. And what I needed to do to cough that up, it wasn't coughing, it was natural, but in order to bring that forth, again, I was really listening, and I was really connected to myself and my core. And I could see this person in front of me so vulnerable. They'd been so hateful and so defended. And all I needed to do was say something kind, but genuinely kind, like from the well of kindness inside myself, not like saccharine, sweet kind or, falsely positive. We were dealing with something really gnarly and hateful. And it was a good moment. And I think that kindness, that gentleness, that gratitude, I think those really pulled forth an ability to let go and open and be more out of that openness and that dropping and that heart opening, finally this person was able to take responsibility for this bad behavior, that had been going on for such a long time, and speak in I terms, and, really show up instead of hiding and deflecting and defending. And it was that moment of pause, again, that listening and kindness, really, really honoring that person for their being and appreciating it and expressing it. I felt like I wanted to share that. I'm done.
I'd also like to, if people are interested, let you know that every Saturday at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, we have a global meditation on kindness where we, and this, a lot of people in prison are joining in this too, and we just basically wrap the earth in loving kindness and into each other, and sometimes we're in a kindness circle, and so, if you're at the mall at 4 o'clock on a Saturday and you notice, just think, I'm going to shift into kindness gear for maybe half an hour and see how you act differently. Maybe you don't, hopefully. But just 4 o'clock on Saturdays, Eastern Time.
Bonnie, maybe you could send out a written thing through the Tzaddi postings so that everybody could have that information for the future?
think it's Judith.
Oh, Judith, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
This is Sally.
Well, Amy knows all about it. She has some kindness cards, I think. Don't you still, Amy?
I'd rather you do the post. Say it in your own way, in your own words.
Okay, I will do that.
Thank you.
So, Bonnie, do you want to offer anything?
Well, I feel like I came in kind of running as usual. I had a choice to either jump on this call late or forego and listen to it tomorrow. So I feel like I'm running, catching up here. But that's absolutely, I'm so glad that I paused and made sure that I could get home to at least listen to part of it. So it's just taken me a little while to kind of shift my energy. And kindness, well, I spend a great deal of time probably. I spend a lot of time with my grandson. It's 4 years old, and you have to have a lot of grace and kindness and understanding every day for a 4-year-old. But they give you grace and kindness as he did. We were actually he's going to kindergarten in September, and we were at a roundup tonight, and he graciously forewent his dinner so that I could come back and make this call. And so there you have a little kid at 4 years old that gave so willingly to me so that I could do this. I live in Minnesota, so that's something that's really big here is people are very polite and kind. We have a kind of a thing that goes around here that's quite lovely. You've probably all heard of it. Pass it on. There was a movie of a young kid that did some great thing. I can't remember now what it was. He did this beautiful act of kindness, and it was called Pass It On. Yeah. And so we do that quite often here, and we run into it here, like running out and grabbing an ice cream at the DQ, and you get up to pay for it, and they say somebody else paid for you. And they just say pass it on. So I love living here for that. There is a very, very soft way in which people are very respectful for each other here, and they're very kind. They help their neighbors. So that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to say one more thing. I'm very grateful to be on the call tonight. It just feels like it feeds me, and I've been undernourished. So thank you all very much. And I'm going to put myself on mute here. Thank you again.
You're welcome. So we have about 10 minutes or so of actual official time left. But I think there's still some time for me to offer my sense of about beyond my kind of lack of centrality of kindness, what I think I do possess in terms of fine qualities. One I think is related to one of my favorite childhood stories, Rudyard Kipling's Elephant's Child. The Elephant's Child was characterized by insatiable curiosity. And it's that sense of curiosity. It's one of the things that I possess as a quality. And, the way it's kind of worked out over the course of my life is for the purposes of this call, I've been thinking about, well, what do I have to offer? And that sense of curiosity kind of has two upshots, if I can use that, or two outcomes, at least for the purposes of this call. And one is a sense of certainty that I know the truth. and I can name that truth if you need me to clarify it. But there's also at the same time a very real present sense of uncertainty. Even though I kind of have a sense of the truth, there's some big questions or big things that I don't have answers for. And one could say that leads to a sense of the other side of curiosity is a sense of mystery. And that's what I think, one of the qualities that I think I bring, a sense of curiosity, certainty, uncertainty, and mystery. And the other one that I would offer is one of the things that I have as a quality is devotion, and specifically devotion to the divine. And there's a line from the Bhagavad Gita that kind of spells that out a little bit. It's to see the divine in all, and to see all in the divine. Now, as for the Tzaddi teachings, and specifically as they're related to the 21 qualities which Bishop Amy mentioned earlier, it seems to me they're very, very eclectic, very welcoming, and very supportive to people who are attracted to the seminary and also to people who have gone through and gained ordination within the seminary. But I'd also like to offer that it seems to me that within the actual ordination for ministers curriculum, there's three things that I think are worth considering as options for how we want to see the seminary go. And one of them has to do with attention to the traditional rituals, like baby blessings and weddings and funerals, that maybe there should be some attention within the curriculum for inviting candidates to come up and write and define a ritual, to actually feel into it and to develop a ritual as a way of kind of bringing clarity to their own thinking and their practice in the future. Not that the Tzaddi has to have a set ritual for every word that needs to be said, but at least inviting the candidates to explore that on their own. I'd also like to suggest that there could be something of independent study within the official curriculum, where people get to explore a path of faith or tradition other than their own, the one they were brought up or raised in, or that they hold presently. Say someone who's brought up in Wicca could study Catholicism, or someone who's brought up in Catholicism could study Wicca. My study of literature and philosophy was much richer whenever I was able to compare one work of literature with another, or one path with another. It helps define and bring clarity to what it is, in fact, that I believe or what I think. And the third thing I'd like to invite consideration for the seminary training has something to do with meditation. Not that we have to have a fixed ritual for meditative practice, but inviting consideration of meditative practice of some sort to include silent meditation. Again, for that development of connection with the divine and perhaps clarity of a means of developing clarity and of being. And I guess the fine qualities that I'm willing to offer are those. Curiosity, but also at the same time attunement to the mystery, in the sense of the devotion to the divine. So we have exactly about 3 minutes left officially. So I would like to kind of do a checkout and ask people if they could give a sentence or two about a comment on what stays in your heart and in mind as you leave. So please feel free to just speak.
It's Amy, and such a strong transmission, Thomas. Curiosity. That's what's in my heart and mind right now.
This is Judith, and I think curiosity is one of the primary qualities, because without the curiosity, none of the other stuff is going to happen. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thomas, this is Bonnie. I too agree. Without curiosity, I don't think any of us would be sitting on this phone tonight, would we? That the curiosity
I don't know. I'm curious. Tell me about that.
Doesn't it start with curiosity?
This is Diane. I like the combination of curiosity and then the deep mystery, the certainty and the uncertainty. I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So this is Sally, and as I kind of feel the energy of this group, I just feel that there's the tremendous warmth, and to me it translates into kindness and love and really the acknowledgement of one another. And it brings me back to, I don't know if I can quote it exactly, but what was it, the individual in the divine and the divine in the individual, or something to that effect. And what I'm experiencing and taking away is that experience of me as both the individual and the unified divine that we all are part of. And I am very appreciative to have that experience and fellowship with each of you. And I lastly want to comment on what an exceptionally kind-hearted person Thomas Ayers is. There are very few people I've ever met who can reach your height and depth.
Oh.
Bless you, my child.
I need to say one more thing, Amy.
Mm-hmm.
What's in my heart and mind is, it's enough people on these calls. Like, this was lovely tonight. And if we'd had 40 people, we wouldn't have been able to hear each other. There wouldn't have been time. So I really want to put out there that I'm grateful for your presence and your participation and your openness and sharing. And it's enough. I just want to say, for me, it was enough tonight. It was plenty. It was rich. It was overflowing. I feel so nourished, as Bonnie said, and so happy and in communion with all of you spiritually. And, it's okay for me if only a handful of people show up. I'm confident that whatever happens with Tzaddi and with the seminary, that I know this tonight was good. And I thank you, Thomas, for your generosity and your leadership. That's me.
You're welcome, and I do what I can. So I'd like to proceed now to the formal close of our call. Thank you for joining us in this Spirit Gathering teleconference. This call may be archived as an MP3 at www.tzaddi.org. Phone access to the recording of this call is available until next month's call. For playback of the recording, please dial 712-432-1085 And the access code is 990322 and the pound sign. We hope you'll join us for our next Spirit Gathering call on April 16th, 2013. These calls are hosted by Tzaddi, a spiritual educational organization founded in California in 1964. Tzaddi welcomes, nurtures, and supports people in celebrating and more directly experiencing their relationship with the loving presence of the divine. I'll close now with thanks and a blessing. Thank you to the Tzaddi founders, Amy Keyes and Dorothy Blackmere, who started our metaphysical church. Thanks to all of you who have been a part of our community tonight. And thanks to the divine, which supports us always, even when we are not aware of it. So, may the divine bless you and keep you. May the divine make its face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may the divine uplift its countenance within you and give you peace. And so, vaya con Dios.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good night. Thank you.